Hello and welcome to Pets Deserve It. Let me try that again. Hello.
And welcome to this ASMR episode of Pets Deserve It.
Okay.
That's how you do ASMR.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Pets Deserve It.
Did you forget your name again?
Yep. Hello and welcome to Pets Deserve It. We are the hosts. I'm Jessica,
I'm Dr. Megan.
co-owners of Latah Creek Animal Hospital, Spokane's premier fear-free certified practice, as well as cat-friendly certified practice, and AHA certified practice. We are so glad you're tuning in to our podcast, and remember that new episodes drop on the first of every month.
This is our podcast where we discuss stress in every aspect of your pet's life. If you missed our previous episodes, check them out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Let's get into it.
And in episode 4, we had the fear-free princess herself, Mikkel Becker, join us, so make sure to go back and watch that one. Today, we will start to build on what we have gone over so far and start to put some things together. We're going to talk specifically about advocating for your pet and how you can do that, whether you're at the vet, at the groomer, really anywhere. You should be the voice for your dog.
Or cat.
Cat.
Or bearded dragon.
Or if you take your rat for a trip to the pet store.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why is this important?
That's a great question. Definitely check out our first episode to learn more, but it's because stress has far-reaching effects on them. When they're stressed, even for a few minutes at the vet, at home, it doesn't matter where they're stressed. It stays in their system for up to 3 days.
It's a long time.
That's a long time for what we might perceive as just a minute. And then the reason why it's important that we don't want them to be stressed for a minute for 3 days is it can really affect their immune system, healing, and just cause lasting trauma as well.
So was it our first episode where we really tried to educate on what that looks like?
Yeah, that was our first episode.
Because it is hard to, you wouldn't necessarily know that.
No.
That's what's happening.
Well then, and in episode 2, we learned how to recognize their stress signals. So recognizing stress, understanding why we don't want them to be stressed, those are the first steps. And then today we're going to talk about, well, what do we do? Because it's not always necessarily directly in our power to prevent it. We have to speak up for our pets.
Mm-hmm. Now, as much as we would love for all of you guys to be clients here, we understand that hopefully we're reaching a fan base that is far and wide. So you're not all going to be able to come here. But we want to help teach you. One of our missions is to help teach pet parents how to advocate for their pet.
Plus, we can't be everywhere. Even the clients that are listening, you might take your dog to the groomer, to the emergency clinic. We're going to talk about stress on walks and at home. We can't be with you all the time, so hopefully we'll be that little voice in your head.
Okay, so you know that stress can be harmful to your pet, and you know the signs to look for. You also know that this idea of fear-free and relieving stress needs to start at home. So now you're on your way to the vet.
Now what?
Now what?
So maybe using what you've learned and what we've talked about so far, you can start to think of some things that would have stressed your pet out. Maybe you have a cat and they got stressed by being put in the carrier. Maybe they got stressed on the drive by some construction. Maybe it was the busy lobby. Maybe it was when the vet came in. Whatever it was, now you can use, your body language knowledge to think about, oh, this is when my pet really got stressed during my vet visit.
So if you've got your cat and you need to walk into the clinic, what should I do if I have to walk my cat into a lobby where I can see other animals?
Don't. Ask to be taken directly into a room. Or at minimum, if you actually have to, all joking aside, cover them up with a towel, hopefully with some pheromones, but if you don't have access to that, at least a visual barrier.
And then put them up on a chair or the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But you should always try to just call your vet and just ask if you can wait outside until an exam room is ready and then to be brought right in. I find it hard to believe that if you make that request, that it would be denied, as long as the vet clinic could make it happen. Because if you need to wait in your car, that should be fine until the exam room is ready. For dogs, the same is going to be true, except you're walking your dog in on a leash and they might participate in the chaos.
Yeah.
Where the cat's going to be scared, most likely. The dog is a high probability that they are going to participate in the chaos and walk through that door and just start owning the place.
Yeah.
And barking and jumping and trying to be very even friendly to people and pets, but that also is very stressful, if not to your pet, then someone else's pet. Call your clinic and try to set this up. Is it okay if I call when I get there? And then you guys can text me or call me when it's time for me to come in, and I will make sure to keep them on a tighter leash and we can get on the scale and go into an exam room. Again, as long as the vet clinic has the ability to do that and enough exam rooms, that should be something that could be accomplished fairly easily.
Oh, go ahead.
Especially because we all had to do it during COVID.
Right? We all have these protocols in place now, whether we're still using them or not, that we can very easily fall back on to help relieve stress.
And that's one of the biggest ones. Just don't walk into a crowded lobby. Crowded lobbies are so 2015.
Yeah. Ask your vet for anti-anxiety medications prior to the appointment. Not everyone has gone as deep down the rabbit hole of anti-anxiety medications as us, but everyone has a few things on their shelf or access to be able to write these prescriptions to a human pharmacy if you ask far enough in advance. So definitely ask your vet for something that can calm your pet down prior to the appointment. Even if they're not regularly prescribing these for everyone, I'm sure they'd be happy to prescribe it for you if you ask.
Especially if you're calling and requesting them. We also would like to normalize the term PVP.
Yes, we would.
We have been told that nobody knows what that means, and we get it, right? But it's pre-visit pharmaceutical. So you'll see on our social media and website and hear us talk a lot about PVPs. Pre-visit pharmaceuticals, that is the pre-visit anti-anxiety medications. So keep that term in your head. PVP. It's how you advocate. Teach your vet PVP, because they're not going to know PVP if you call and ask for PVPs.
Teach your vet PVPs. And again, it's the flip side, right? We're trying to teach you how to advocate for your pet. But if your vet is advocating for your pet and says you need the PVPs, please give them. This is not the topic of this podcast, but please, 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 they are trying to help you.
And look out for our book coming out in 2029 called Give the Fucking PVPs.
Oh, that's the year I turned 29.
Yeah.
That'll be cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about pheromones.
We've talked about those in previous podcasts. They're calming pheromones. They're species specific. Right now, they only exist for dogs, cats, and bunnies. But if you have one of those animals, spray it around your car, their carrier, on a bandana around their neck, on their leash, just anywhere they're going to be. On yourself is a good one. About 15 minutes prior to getting in the car. It can really help calm them down, ease the journey. And then if it's on their leash, their bandana, something in their carrier, what have you, it can come with them into the appointment as well.
And it lasts for about 4 hours, they say. Yeah.
So unless you're at Latah Creek, that's probably plenty. But we have pheromones, so you don't worry about that.
The pheromones also come in a diffuser that can be plugged in. So if you go to a fear-free clinic and some other clinics, you'll see that they have diffusers plugged into the wall, and that will help have the pheromones in each of the exam rooms, which also helps lower the stress. So let's also talk about toys and treats.
Yes.
So yeah.
I have a good memory of the first time that Mikkel came to the clinic. Mikkel Becker, Fear-Free Princess, watch our last episode, that she brought a whole, what she called it, a snackle box with her. It was just, it literally did look like one of those little tackle boxes, just full of different treats. She had toys and other things too, but for the treats specifically, she had a wide variety of options. And we had a bunch of treats, but she didn't know what we would have or if her dog would like them. She wanted to make sure she had a high value buffet for him and a variety of things.
She also wasn't sure in general how far we had progressed with Fear Free, so she brought his chin rest stool and she brought his no skid mat.
Yes.
And it was very cute. And her dogs did a good job, but then she quickly learned that we also have those things here. But you can do that to your vet. Take a yoga mat is a very easy thing to take. Just roll it up and take it with you. And then bring a couple different treats, maybe some really high value ones that they're not used to getting at home. And that will help reward them after their vaccines or their exam or whatever part of the appointment that scares them.
And she still brings treats, even though we have a bunch and her dogs eat ours because she wants them for the car and the parking lot and just to have on herself. So it's still good to have them, even if your vet does awesome and has everything you could ever need. You might still need something for the car.
Yeah.
This goes double, though, if your pet's on a special diet, and your vet may not be able to have the right kind of treat, or they might not like the special bland option that your vet has. We have a couple patients who can literally only eat their food, and their owners bring it with them.
And you could bring the kibble, or you could buy their food in the can variety and cut them up into little pieces and bake them. I don't know how good that will make your house smell.
I've done it before. It's actually not that bad.
But then that
gives
them a little bit, you could leave them a little bit moist or make them like the moistened meaties, but it could be their specific food. So that also helps.
You can bring a licky mat and spread it on the licky mat. You can get silicone or plastic licky mats on Amazon to spread it on. They like that. Then it makes it last longer too. We have some patients who have one specific toy that is very motivating. We have toys here too, but it's one specific.
It's his light up ball.
The light up ball. We have another one. It's a ball that makes like farm animal sounds when he rolls it around.
Cute.
Very specifically, very motivating for him. He's not allowed to play with it as much at home because it winds up the other dogs. So when he comes here and gets it, it's a huge treat. He couldn't care about anything else. Just that.
And one of those dogs is a lab, and the other one is a dachshund.
It's a dachshund.
You never know who's going to want the toy over the treat. Okay, another way that you can help advocate for your pet is a lot of veterinary clinics want to take the pet to the back. And they take them back there, and they might bring them back 3 to 5 minutes later and say, yep, everything went great. We got our blood work and our vaccines, and we'll go ahead and send you up to the front desk and get you checked out. So actually, 2 things just came up when I said that. So there are clinics that do probably have limited space and need to take pets back to treatment, but try to speak up and just ask, is it possible that they stay in the exam room with me and you guys come in here and draw my pet's blood? Can the vaccines be given in front of me? Some of that just comes from maybe team members being a little bit nervous to draw blood in front of the client. So just know that if they agree to draw the blood in front of you, sometimes they might not get it on the first try, and that's going to be more embarrassing. And just have some patience with them while they're trying to do that, because that was a big step for us 10 years ago when we started doing this, 8 to 10 years ago when we each started doing this, is now this idea of doing these things in front of the client can be very stressful because we never had done that before. So just ask them some questions if it's possible to keep you with them. And then part 2 of that is when it is time to leave, ask if there's any way that they can take your credit card and you stay in the exam room, or they take your card and you go out to your car and then they bring you your card or receipt out to your car to you. Some clinics have started doing checkouts in the exam rooms. So we have credit card terminals in each of our exam rooms. That's just part of our experience. And then when the client leaves the room, they get to go home. So they're not being sent up to the front desk. But those are just little areas where your pet could encounter another pet and cause either your pet stress or the other pet stress.
And just as a side note, to go back to something you said, if there's any vet professionals listening, in 8 to 10 years, like we said, of doing this in the exam rooms, I have never once been heckled by a client when I've been drawing blood or doing something in the room. They have never, ever, not one single time, given me or my nurses a hard time for doing something in front of them. Not even once.
And I know there's times that maybe you can't get the blood and you have to go get a nurse or an assistant to come help you, and vice versa. The nurse can't get it, the assistant can't get it, so they come and get the doctor to help.
And of course I feel embarrassed, but that's all on the inside. The clients literally don't care. They are just so happy that we're doing something that they get to stay with their pets and see what we're doing, that if we can't get it, they understand. And honestly, I think they understand better why we can't get it, because they get to see it instead of just we disappear and can come back like, oh, sorry, we couldn't get it. I mean, you can see the vein is smaller, you can see the pet is stressed, and I mean, this is more on the client side to advocate, but just from the other side of it, if there's vet professionals listening, I wouldn't worry about that for a minute. Clients are so nice about it.
Okay, the other thing that is very, very stressful for your pet is nail trims, and we won't talk about this much, but I know that nail trims are very, very important to our clients. Sometimes it's super important to the pet's health. I know they snag their nails, they catch their nails on things, and they can break, so it is important to keep them trimmed. We tend to not do many nail trims when patients are awake because it is so stressful. But if your pet is currently being taken to the back to have the nail trim and then you're told they do fine, we ask that you advocate for them and just ask that the nail trim be done in the room if at all possible so that you can see how they're doing. Because I know prior to Fear Free, we would do the same thing. We would take them to the back and we would trim their nails and bring them back out to mom and say, yep, we got the nails, everything's good. But what you don't see is what happens behind the scenes where there are 2 or 3 team members trying to get them trimmed and meet your goals, but we're not always paying as close of attention to the stress as we should. So that's just another area where speak up for your pet and just say, how good are they actually doing? Could I come back there and see? Could you do it in an exam room this time so that I could see how it's going? Because then if you see that it's very stressful, then you could ask, okay, could they be sedated or could we come back on some PVPs, some anti-anxiety medications?
And if this is not part of your normal vet clinic flow, ask in advance. They're a lot more likely to be able to accommodate you if you say when you make the appointment and explain, I'm trying to gauge his stress level. I'd like to watch. They can make sure they have the right team members and the right space to do it in a room. And they're probably got your best chance that they will be able to accommodate that request.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times it's not that they don't want to help you. It's that they can't necessarily accommodate something in the moment.
Right, because nail trims are generally only scheduled for a few minutes at a time. So, all of these things you should call ahead. So if you're going to a non-fear-free vet, call up, schedule your appointment, and just say, okay, here's what I'm hoping you guys can help me with. Mm-hmm. When I get there, is it okay if I call from the parking lot? And if you're not ready for me, that's totally fine. I can be patient, and I will wait in my car until you can get me right into an exam room. And you can text me or have me call you back in 5 minutes so that I don't add any extra stress to you guys, but I will just wait out here patiently. And then once it's time for me to go in the room, hopefully it's okay that I bring my own treats, I bring my own yoga mat, and I actually have some pheromones sprayed on a bandana, so we're ready to go. And then if at all possible, I know he's due for his blood work, so could we maybe be scheduled with someone who might be comfortable doing that in the exam room with me? And then, my last request would be, I would like to go back out to my car after the appointment, but you guys can keep my card and run it for the bill. And then I could come back in without my dog or cat to get my receipt. If you can set that up in advance, again, they can mark that appointment. Okay, owner would like to do these things. And every pet parent that calls their vet and starts to request these things, your vet clinic is going to start thinking, gosh, that went really great. Mm-hmm. This pet did really well.
It helps everyone.
And then they're going to inevitably start passing that on to other pet parents. Because you helped advocate for your pet, you're actually advocating for every pet that comes through those doors of your vet clinic.
Definitely. I think this is a good time to talk about, too. It can be hard to speak up.
Yep.
It's hard. I get it. We're the professionals. You're coming into our business, and you may feel like you're telling us how to run things. It shouldn't feel like that. It doesn't make you that client. It doesn't make you a Karen. All of that is in how you do it, in my opinion. When you're calling in advance, when you're asking nicely, when you're advocating for your pet, your vet should want to partner with you to help your pet, even if yours is the only one that gets treated that way, even if you're the only one advocating for your pet like this. If you're nice about it, your vet should want to work with you. We are huge advocates for loyalty and staying with your vet and working with your vet. But if your vet clinic, not just a veterinarian, if your vet clinic gives you a hard time for that and you're being nice, it's time to find a new one. And I don't say that lightly at all, because all of this is how to stay at your vet, how to work with the vet you already have, changes you can make at your clinic. But if they don't want to help accommodate these simple things when you're being nice, that's when it's time to change, because you're not being difficult. You're not being a Karen. You're not being any of these things. You're not being a high maintenance client. You need to be able to advocate for your pet. And I know it's hard, especially if someone has made you feel like that before, that it can be hard.
Yeah.
But it's so important because you know your pet best better than anyone.
You know your pet best.
You know your pet best.
And sometimes that means your pet might do better without you in the room, or you don't want to, maybe you like your pet being taken to the back because you don't want to see them draw the blood. That's okay too, but what we would recommend is just ask if you can step out of the room. Mm-hmm. Because what a lot of people don't recognize is, number one, a lot of different team members coming in and out of the exam room is not good. That causes more stress every time that door opens to your pet. And then if we take your pet out and now you're walking down the hallway, the lights look different, the smells look different, they're going through different doorways, they're going back to treatment where they're going to see different pets, maybe a dog, maybe a cat, maybe they're scared of dogs and we don't realize that. Different lights back there, different smells because maybe there's a procedure going on. And all of these things compound on your pet and then they're getting very stressed out. So if you don't want to watch these things and maybe you're like, I'm okay if they take my pet to the back, just change that and ask if you can step out and you go sit in the lobby and wait and let them go in the exam room and do it. That way you don't have to watch, but your pet gets to stay in the exam room where they already have become comfortable. Especially cats, because cats acclimate more to the environment and don't want to be taken to the back, where the dog might happily go back there, the cat is not.
No. And another note about cats, don't let anyone scruff your cat ever.
Yeah, let's talk about cats a little bit, that cat appointment. A lot of the stuff is the same, right? We already talked about seeing if you can call when you get here and go straight to the exam room. But once you're in the exam room, hopefully you have your pheromones, then what is that going to look like?
Definitely, like Jessica just said, it's very important once a cat gets acclimated to a space that they stay there as much as possible. So, offer that. And again, with cats, you could offer to step out. I mean, that might be a gateway into having your vet clinic not take them to the back, is offer to step out or turn away, but let your cat stay where they've become acclimated because they are so incredibly stressed by environmental changes that the crate in the car to the clinic is enough. Like, let's not put them in another room. And then don't let anyone scruff your cat ever. Once they're over about 4 weeks old, once they can walk, they don't need to be scruffed anymore. That's how mom moves them around from place to place by their scruff. And that's why they just sort of curl up and freeze because they're being carried. When they're 4 weeks old, that's normal. That's cat behavior. Once we get them at 6, 8, 12, 14, 16 weeks old or older, I don't know why I listed all those ages, but okay. any of them at all, is to infinity and beyond, is too late. It's too late they're too old. They don't need to be scruffed anymore to be carried around by mom. Now, at older cats, when they scruff each other, it's usually when they're fighting, they're biting each other's necks. It's very stressful. They don't like it. They might freeze, but that's a fear response. That's not a little baby with its feet curled up. So, no scruffing. If your cat is having a hard time and a situation where you would think like, oh, but how am I going to get XYZ done without scruffing? Either towel wraps or what we call chemical restraint, which is PVPs, or sedation, or something if your cat has just reached panic mode.
And one thing that we try to do for our cat clients is we understand that it's hard to get your cat to the vet. It's hard to get them in the carrier. It's very stressful. Where most dogs, when you get their leash on, they're ready to go. They might not always be happy that the destination is the vet clinic, but they're most of the time happy to get in the car. So having a dog come and the appointment not be successful, we send you home to come back on PVPs. We're not going to ask that of our cat owners for the most part, because it is very stressful to get them here. So oftentimes here, we will just work on sedation, and then we'll know for next time to get the PVPs for the appointment. So if you're in that very stressful cat appointment, ask for either. If you're okay bringing them to the vet, like they're okay getting in their carrier, they're fine in the car, it's just being here, then ask them for PVPs and ask if you can come back a different day. That is how you can advocate for your pet. Or ask them to stop when they reach for the scruff. Ask them to stop and ask if they can just be sedated.
Yeah. Trust me. Your vet is going to be thrilled if you ask for sedation, because I believe a lot of this non-fear-free handling comes from we need to get it done and we don't know another way.
Right.
So if you provide them the idea and or the permission to have these conversations, it's going to help. It's going to help them in the moment. It's going to help your cat, obviously. It's going to help future cats because then they're going to think, oh my gosh, we sedated this cat and it went so well and it was so much less stressful that maybe I should be doing that more.
Right.
Yes, you should be doing that more. And another note for vet professionals who might be listening, I've got bit way, way less since I stopped scruffing. We can get into a whole episode about that sometime, but just give you that little nug right now that no, if you're thinking, well, I bet you get bit a lot. Nope.
And for cats, when we talk about the carrier, the other way you can advocate for your cat is, I know even many years ago, I would do this where we dump the carrier and we try to shake the cat out. So we really try to advocate that pet parents get either a soft-sided crate that zips on the top. It has multiple openings. And then if you do have a hard crate, that the top, opening the top is okay, but that hole is not as big. But if the top comes off, then you can keep the cat in the bottom of the carrier so they still feel safe, but then you have access, doctor has access to do their exam and vaccines. So advocate for them to stay in their carrier. But if you as a pet parent get them a carrier that works really well for that, then you can say, okay, let's not dump him out. He loves his carrier. Let's just take the top off and we'll put the bottom of the carrier up on the table so that we can do that.
Yeah. Let him stay in the safe space.
And then if he is a cat that should maybe be sedated once he arrives at the vet, I know that you will use the soft-sided carriers because we could sedate them through the soft-sided carrier. Those are ones that are on a high spice level, the FAS 5s. But
the Conte,
we don't have to get them out of the carrier, and we can just kind of hold them in position in one end of the carrier, and then because it's mesh, we can sedate them through that.
Yeah.
So lots and lots of ways that you can advocate for your dog and your cat. So let's talk about some other areas that we can advocate for our pets.
Yes, because I hear about this all the time from both dogs and cats. A lot of dogs, for example, on a walk, you hear this all of the time that my dog doesn't necessarily love other people or other dogs, but is not going to cause any problems. They're walking with me calmly on a leash, no drama, and inevitably someone comes up to pet them or lets another dog run up to them, and then there's a kerfuffle. That doesn't need to happen, but oftentimes we are trying to, we on the end of the leash who doesn't want to be interacted with, are trying to advocate for our dog and people are ignoring you. So, right, you hear that a lot. Oh, no thank you, he doesn't want to play. It's okay, my dog's friendly. Or, no, he doesn't want to be pet right now. Oh, it's okay, other dogs love me. Dogs love me. I'm great with dogs. Side note, if you're great with dogs, you can tell when that dog doesn't want to be petted. So that automatically is a red flag. My advice to you in that case is the opposite of what I told you with your vet, right? With your vet, call and be very nice and professional and work with them. You need to be more aggressive. I'm going to need you to put your dog on a leash. Stop. Don't pet him. Pick your little dog up and turn your body around. Put your body in between your bigger dog and another dog. Use your body language. Nope, I'm going to need you to go. Have treats in your pocket if it's dogs approaching and toss them away from you. And then the other dog will probably stop at least for a second and see what's going on there. Something like that to distract.
And just turn and walk away if you need to.
Just turn and walk away if you need to. In that situation, you don't need to be so friendly.
Right.
Because someone's not listening to you and being rude, and it's a safety issue. And at home, cats and dogs, if your dog doesn't like, or cat, if your dog or cat doesn't like visitors or doesn't like kids, keep them out of that situation. It doesn't even necessarily have to be adversarial. It could be, this is a safe space. This is my dog's crate, or this is my cat's tower. And, we don't touch kitty when he's up there. We don't touch dog when he's in his crate, because as long as they haven't been traumatized in the past, they're going to try to just escape a situation they don't want to be in and then go to that safe space. And then you can help your friends or your friends' kids understand that, like, okay, we don't bother him here, but not expecting our dogs and cats to put up with things they don't like at home is really more of it. Is changing our expectations even to more advocate internally that, oh, no, he actually doesn't need to be at my 2-year-old's birthday party with 50 other little kids. I'm just going to let him go in the bedroom and chill. Yeah. Or like, yeah, he really loves it, and he loves my golden retriever, loves being out with all the kids, but then he just he's a little too much now. It's time for him to go sleep. Yeah. So just kind of thinking through what could help them in that moment.
Mm-hmm. And then if your pet needs to go to the groomer, just some of that is going to be similar to the vet clinic. Request that they don't see other pets. And, you know, oftentimes groomers, they have kennels and they do need to see other pets. So, you know, if your pet needs to be groomed and they're in there, maybe the cage could be covered so that they can't see the other dogs. See if your vet will give you the PVPs, the anti-anxiety medications, to go to the groomer. And again, see if you can watch and just see how your pet behaves. And if it is a cat, which I know we don't get a lot of our cats groomed, but we do.
Sometimes.
And that they're also not scruffing them. So really a lot of that is going to be similar. You can use the pheromones at the groomers. You can use the PVPs at most groomers. But those are questions that you're going to want to ask your groomer when you're scheduling the appointment as well. Because I know some groomers don't necessarily want the dogs on PVPs because they're not sure how the drugs work themselves. So make sure that your groomer is comfortable with that. There are fear-free certified groomers, so you can check the directory in your area, and that will be in the
show notes.
But
there are not a lot of fear-free groomers, so you might struggle. We have one in our whole town of Spokane, and she is booked out like crazy because she's the only fear-free groomer. But there are a lot of groomers who are doing good things.
So I think if you ask them the questions.
So if you ask them the questions, you know, they may not be fear-free certified, but they might be 80 or 90% of the way there with doing a lot of good things and could really help your dog. For example, some of them are mobile. Some are appointment only. They have a shop, but it's one dog at a time in the shop. Those can automatically help. You know, some are gentle handlers. There's another couple of groomers in town that we've been hearing about that are really, really great with handling. They're not fear-free certified, but they do a lot of the same principles. So you could find somewhere that's a good fit for your pet to go.
Yeah. And the same would be true if you have to go to a referral office, right? We have a big specialty clinic here. We have WSU veterinary school that clients can go to. And then just the emergency clinics. Really try to advocate for your pets there as well. We do have a clinic, an emergency clinic, a little bit further away from us, but we have spoken to them about our highest stress patients. And as long as our clients let them know, okay, he's very stressed, we're from Latah Creek, here's our little card that says, please just sedate me upon arrival, they have agreed to just sedate them upon arrival. But our client still has to go there and advocate for them. So, you know, it's harder in an ER for them to do fear-free stuff, so you're just going to have to do the best you can. If you have anti-anxiety medications at home, just give them. If you know that you have to go to the ER, just give those medications. And just, so a lot of that's going to look similar. Referral, emergency, the vet school, they're all going to look very similar to coming to the vet. Use your pheromones, use your PVPs, and just advocate the best you can. Your pet is probably going to have to be taken away from you, but just have those conversations ahead of time as best you can.
Yeah, the vet school, I know, for example, it might not be possible to go with your pet. Just ask for them to be sedated right out of the gate. Like, I know I can't go. I get it. You have 7 exam rooms for hundreds of appointments a day. Please just sedate him.
Okay, so we know that was a lot of information about how to advocate for your pet. We recommend listening to this 2 or 3 times because there's so much information, especially depending on where your pet has to go. If you have questions about how you might want to talk to your vet clinic, put a comment in the comment section, and we're happy to help with verbiage or kind of let you know how we might like to be asked.
If we get any questions, we'll just answer them in the next episode.
Okay, yeah.
If it's, you know, we'd be happy to answer them in the comment section, but we will probably answer them in the next episode so everyone can benefit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different platforms.
Yeah, but definitely we'll answer it in the comments as well. Okay, so to close this out, we'll maybe talk about a little story that each of us have. The only thing that I have specifically right now is we're working on training our new puppy, who is now almost a year and a half, but obviously has gone through a lot of training because we've learned so much. It's a lot of work, has been a lot of work to train her. But one of the things that we did have to do for her is when she came back to the clinic, when we brought her into the clinic for her first adult set of vaccines. So she's gone through all of her puppy stuff, her victory visit, her spay, her next victory visit. Then we had a victory visit prior to her annual visit, but she was in a fear period. So even though I did have her on her pre-visits when her dad brought her in, we still had to make sure that she was very clearly in her fear period. She was a little bit more timid and didn't want to happily walk up to the team members like she had been for all of her visits. And she's been here probably 10 or 12 times in her first year. We did have to ask that, oh, don't approach her if she's not coming up to you. Don't try to pet her on the head. Don't try to pet her. Just let her go where she wants and then leave, which was very different for everyone because she had been so outgoing. And I'm sure that in a couple months when she comes back for a victory visit, she'll be outgoing again.
Well, even by the end, she was, because her signals got listened to in the exam room, she was super friendly.
Yeah. It was when we were leaving and walking past the front desk, who she normally would go happily greet, she didn't want to. So we did have to ask, and also the front desk picked up on that, oh, we're not going to approach her. She's not coming near us. We're just going to see you next time, Benelli, bye, and let her leave because they recognize that. And so we did have to advocate for her a little bit in that regard.
Yeah.
Did you have a story?
I do. Many, many years ago, when I was running competitive agility with my dog, we had practiced getting measured. He was a baby. He was in his fear period because you can't get measured until they've reached their full height. And so it was time to get measured to run. And we had practiced with a certain kind of measuring stick, and the judge had a different one. And he said, absolutely not. He was terrified. Eyes wide, mouth squinched up. See our body language episode. And I told the judge to stop. Said he doesn't like that. It's not the one we practiced with. We need to not measure him today. And you're not allowed to hold your dog when they're being measured because people cheat. And she said, oh, no, it's fine. And he is not a biter, but he gave her a look like, I'm thinking about it. And I had to physically put my hand in her way and say, you need to stop. We are done. She said, you can't run competitively today if we don't measure him. And I had to tell her, that's okay. We'll just do fun runs today because he's telling you no, he's going to get so traumatized that we're not going to be able to do this sport at all. He's 18 months old. He's going to be ruined forever if we don't stop. So we had 2 fun runs that day. I drugged the heck out of him, took him to a trial he wasn't running in, got measured on drugs, and then everything was fine after that.
Nice.
But it's hard sometimes. I get it because, boy, she was arguing and then consequences. Well, you can't run. Well, that's okay. Yeah. I'd rather have that than a traumatized dog. Yeah. But it can be hard.
It is, yeah.
But it was worth it.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, do you want to know how your clinic stands up to fear-free?
Or are you afraid to know?
Go to our YouTube page and you can subscribe to our fear-free practice benchmark. And the hope with this is it's a list of questions and you can either take it to the vet clinic with you or you can answer the questions when you get home from your vet visit. And if you can't answer yes to all of these questions, which a lot of them talk about advocating for your pet, then you should call your vet and have a conversation with the front desk or one of the nurses and just ask them if these, again, advocate for them. Are these things that are even going to be possible at the current clinic? And if they're not, then you might sincerely start researching some new clinics in your area to see who would be a better fit, and you could use the benchmark as a guide. You could also subscribe to our Fear-Free 101 guide, and that just has some basics of fear-free, same kind of stuff you'll learn from our first few episodes of the podcast.
So that's it for this month. Thanks for tuning in. Hope it was helpful. To learn more about fear-free and how to prevent stress in your pet's life, engage with us on all social media platforms at Latah Creek AH.
Well, that's it for this month.
Bye.